Hey, Audrey.
Yes.
One of my interns was able to hop on. The other one is getting a busy tone from her phone. Um, has anybody else had that issue, a busy tone?
Um. Okay, so she's calling in from the phone and not the computer.
Yeah.
Um. We had that issue yesterday, but it shouldn't tell. Like we should be able to have as many people as we want on the call. So I'm not sure. Brandy, what was Barbara ever able to kind of call in yesterday or no?
She was able to get through, but it wasn't until a few minutes into the meeting because I think it was everyone was trying to get in at once.
Okay. Yeah. So maybe
Okay.
if she can either, I can send her that login information for the go-to site again, so she can do it from the computer, or maybe in just a
Okay.
minute have her try to call in again.
I think she might be on the go-to site now. Haley, were you
Oh,
on that yet? Oh, is this one? Okay. Yeah, so she's logged into the test site for WBIS right now,
okay. So if she can hear,
but not the go-to meeting actually. Sorry, we need to do the go-to meeting part. Can she get there from the go-to meeting and like just hear from her computer speakers?
she can get on the go-to. Can she hear me from your computer now?
No, I don't
No.
think so.
Okay. Because yeah, you can use it just from your computer. Let me see if I can get that information for you.
I can try turning up the speaker pretty loudly from my phone and see if that helps.
Okay. Yeah, I normally talk pretty loud too, so just see if she can hear me from here. If not, I can see if I can find that information again.
Okay, and I'll have her try again in maybe 5 minutes, and maybe the busy tone will be gone by then,
Yeah.
right? Okay. And otherwise, is my tree on? I think she might be.
Yeah, I am.
Great.
Okay,
Okay.
great. So yeah, just
Then we're all set from here.
okay. Um,
Yeah, just go to gotomeeting.com, Audrey.
yeah, and then
It looks like the little after you sign in, it looks like a little person with a plus sign beside them.
okay. Yeah, we did this yesterday. Okay, and it's this one, and then this one.
Yeah, click that, and that's the number and the code.
Okay, I see Haley has arrived. Is that who we're waiting for?
Yeah, Haley's the one who needs audio, but I think,
I think she just arrived.
yeah.
So
Okay, and she's got audio now. Thanks, Haley. Okay, thanks, Audrey. We're good. She's logged into her computer for audio.
okay, awesome. Okay, so is everybody else ready to start our little scavenger hunt through WeBIS?
Yes.
Okay, great. So, I'm just gonna log in really quick using my test user account. I'm logging in. Hopefully, you all are logged in. And again, you guys can follow along on your own window with your test user account open. And we found in the past that it's easier for people to learn the system if they're doing it while I'm giving instructions. If this doesn't work for you and you'd like to see what I'm doing, then you just go back into the go-to meeting and you can just watch as I demonstrate. And then you can kind of do it on your own later. But some people find that they forget it if they don't do it themselves, or it just doesn't kind of stick if they don't do it. So just let me know if I'm going too fast, or if you have a question, or if you need to see anything over again. The first place that we're going to go is to contacts. If you hover over contacts and you go to manage, we'll be able to do our first little activity. If you go to the search and you click that, it'll bring up a field. So it's a little bit different from WeBIS 2.0 in the aspect that if I just put in, and you guys can do this too, if you just typed in part of my last name, which is GLAD, it would find all the records that have that in the name. So the last WBIS, it was kind of restricted, where you had to put it in almost exactly that name. This one will find any record that happens to kind of look like that. The only caveat to this is we have it programmed where it will not find first names. So if I were to type in my first name but not part of my last name, it would not find that record. And the reason being is that it would just slow down the system a lot. So what we can do is we can type in A Gladden, and that's my first initial and my last name, and then it would find the records that reflect that information. So it's a little bit more user-friendly in that you don't have to know all the information. If you have a last name, if you have an email address, you can put that in there and it would find that. And you all can go ahead, if you're doing this yourselves, you can try to find your own contact record by typing in your last name. And you should be able to find that contact record come up. So if you guys have done that, I would go ahead and click on your contact record. I normally have people create a new contact, but it's basically the same thing if you select your own contact record, and then you can kind of look at it, and you'll see all the aspects of what the new contact form would look like. So the new contact form would look exactly like this. But the good thing about the in WBIS 3, this version, is as soon as you put in the email address, if this wasn't here and you put in an email address and you didn't know if it already existed in the system, it would then check it for you, and if it did exist within the system, it would say view record, and then you could view that record. And so it wouldn't let you really go any further because it knows that that contact already exists in the system. And then the only things that are required for contacts now are email, first name, last name. And so those are all up at the top. And then you can also add in, their gender, their race, and these are all trackable fields for you to report on later. And you can add in your company information. We have a little notes tab here. And so if we move forward to company, you look to the right, you should see a company tab. And on that company tab, I have open where it says for early court, and that's kind of what I've put as my fictional company. If you were to put in a company, and you can even search for one down at the bottom, and then when you click search, you can even put in, just like choose from one of the ones that we've kind of put in for fake data, and it would then change your Google Maps representation of where you are. And so the good point, we kind of created this just to give you a more perspective of that contact, where they are in relation to you and things like that. So you may use this in your daily practice, and you may not, but it might be good to have later on if you guys need to represent or get directions or anything like that, because it takes it directly from the Google Maps. So to the right, we'll see codes. And this is another aspect of the system that we've greatly improved, where you can, all the codes are now on one page. In WBIS 2, they were like 5 different pages, and it divided them by the code type. Like initiatives were on one page, and then responsibilities were on the other. Here, you can have all of those codes, see them perfectly, and you can filter them with those little arrows that are next to them. It'll filter it by ascending order or descending order. And then the other great thing about this is you can add a new code on the fly. If you go next to initiatives and you say add a code, and you see where it brings up the first one that's there. But then if you see underneath that white box where it says add new, you'll just click that and say that you need a new code. And you don't want to go to your superior and go through the process of getting their permission and things like that. You can add a code simply by saying test code. That's what I'm typing in there in that box. And I say okay. So that adds it to the whole entire database. You can now use this code for any other contact or even any other event. It's now going to be under, mine is going to be under initiatives, and it's called test code. And then I select it, and then it's added. And then another regional user said yesterday, because this is really easy, if you just accidentally click delete, it'll just delete it for you. But so we're just going to say, we're telling the developers we're going to add an are you sure? But it's a great way here. You can clean up your list if you realize that there's, many codes, and then you'll have the ability to edit them really easily just from this one page. Does anybody have any questions about how to add a code?
This is Mallory. I don't have a question about how to add a code, and you might be getting to this later, but let's say there's a code in the initiative, we're filing it under initiative, and we write paid leave, and then somebody else codes something as paid family leave. Is there a way that we pre-populate codes that can be used, or we just want to make sure, as you can tell, we have a few people in our office who might be adding information. How do we make sure that paid family leave and paid leave would both show up under the same type of thing? Same code, basically.
That is actually a great question, because we've been doing merging codes together a lot this year, because there's so many different kinds. And so I think I have to ask the developers, because with this does come the option of creating many of the same codes. But I think our hope is that you would go under add a code if it's under initiatives, and then you would hopefully see the paid leave button there, and then not add it if you would see it. But I do agree with you. Since there are a lot of, and some people type it in a different way and things like that. So,
okay, so we would all just use the ones that are pre-populated in there then? Or okay.
Unless the one, so I would recommend going through the ones that are pre-populated and seeing if it exists first. And then if you find out oh, I don't see this code, this is a brand new code to the Women's Bureau or something like that, then you would add it.
Okay. So last question then on the same thing. Will FY16 codes be added? I see in the drop-down menu right now it goes up to FY10. So I don't know if this is different on the sites that are already on the WBIS sites that we log into with our email accounts. I don't know if that looks any different, but will you be adding, or will somebody be adding FY16 codes, or should we just make our own codes in the regions for now? I'm not trying to mess it up, basically.
Yeah, so this is the in the testing site. It may look different. Now, you said FY16 for this year?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so I will, after this meeting, go through and look for those FY16s in the live site, because we have been kind of, messing with this data a lot and manipulating it. So it may look kind of funky. But hopefully in the live site, all the data is clean and current. But I will definitely double check that for you and make sure. And if we don't have it, then we might need to reach out for and get it from you guys.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, you're welcome. Anybody else have, and that's great too, any suggestions or feedback? This is not just a training. It's definitely so that we can get everybody's perspective on the system, and hopefully we've made it in a way that improves upon the WBIS 2.0 and makes it easier for you guys to use this system. So just going from there, and I wrote down those 2 questions, so I'll get back to you after this. Relationships tab is the next one over to the right. And so this is definitely something that we've added just to kind of hopefully help you all in kind of creating different connections between contacts. And this may be something that you use, and it may not be something that you all will use, but we're hoping. You can basically tie a contact to another contact, and it'll be like someone is a sponsor and then someone's a co-sponsor, and then you'll add those people, or like a team leader and then someone's a team member, and then you can have this person, like I am the team leader, and then I'm also and then I named Terry Abbott a team member. And so that's just kind of going to be a way for you all to organize specific roles within the Women's Bureau. If somebody is a treasurer for an event or anything like that, you'd be able to make that connection with this feature. And so this relationships and roles go together. And it'll kind of tie that in. If I've named myself a co-sponsor, it'll put that there. But this also is where you can determine are you a site admin, are you a system admin, or are you just a user? Some of the contacts are just users and they won't have any privileges within the system. And then some of you are site admins, and you'll be able to see this little settings bar here. This is for administration. And then some of you all will be able to, reset passwords and things like that. So this is also where you go to maybe give or take away rights to a specific contact. And again, to the right, there is the events tab. And this is currently still under construction because we're trying to tie it to this bigger events tab up here. So this one doesn't work just yet. And then comments is kind of like that notes page, but this one is going to be a little bit more organized for you. It's going to tell you when you made a comment and who made that comment. So if multiple people are working with the same contact, someone can leave a message here, a comment here, and say, I changed this information on this day, and it would log that for you. Or I spoke to this contact and she needs this information. So this is going to be, and it's just real easy. You say add a comment and say I spoke with this contact, and then you would save it. And it would be uploaded here, and it would just keep a log of all the comments and the progressions. Whereas on the first page, if you notice that little note tab, that's going to be more like for standing notes. If you have a standing comment about the contact, that would be on that first page. Or if it's like really important and you just need to see it on the first page, that would be for that. Also, so that's all for comments. But if we go to messages to the right, so this hasn't been filled out yet because we're just waiting for to move further with the message center. But kind of like in 2.0, this will be that function where you can message contacts directly from WBIS, but it would go through your DOL server. And so we just need to flush this out and make sure that we have the right permissions and everything like that. But that will basically look like the one that's in 2.0 now. So does anybody have any questions on this contact feature that we just went over? Okay, so we're going to go to contacts, hover over that, and then go to the last one that says search. And so if you guys are doing this along with me, it looks a little bit different than what you guys are used to seeing. However, this is going to be a really great feature for you when you need to run certain reports. So I think the one that we did yesterday was, if you go where it says last name, you're going to change that to state. And then say state equals, and then California. And you're going to say CA. because it likes the abbreviations better than the full word, and we're working on adding in a drop-down box for those states. So then when you said state equals California, you're going to click Add. And then if we want to see all the contacts that are in the state of California, and I want to see their last name, I'm going to check that box. I'm also going to check first name box, email box, and then the code box. So I want to see all of that information. And then the white spaces up at the top where it says define your criteria, that is only going to be what is narrowing down what contacts you're going to see. Like you're creating the report that you want to see. And then the check boxes are for the fields that you want to view from those contacts that are pulled by your criteria. So I'm going to see all the contacts that are in the state of California, but I'm going to see those contacts, last name, first name, code, and state. And then I'll click search, and it's going to bring up all those contacts. And I think it shows like 30 contacts per page, and then you'll have other pages depending on, this little button here that says page 1. But you'll be able to filter this if you want to say ascending order or descending order. It will change the order for you so you can have your own, depending on your requirements. It'll do that for you, and it can do that for any one of these fields. And then from here, you can view this contact. If you say, I just want to see this one person, you can do that. Or if you need to download this whole report, because this is, what you need to do for your quarterly reports or anything like that, you would say either print it from here, and it would create just this report for you, and then you could download the report, and that would put it in an Excel spreadsheet. And in the Excel spreadsheet, you can play with it a little bit more, create it into what you need, or you can just print it from Excel. But if you said download report, it would, buffer for a little bit, and then it would come down to the bottom of your screen in the left-hand side where your downloads normally come up. Now, if you have your pop-up blocker on, or if you are working in an Excel already, and your mouse is still in one of those cells in Excel, then it may not come up. It kind of is finicky. Excel is kind of finicky in that way. But, and that's just from our previous sessions where that has come up. But if you're just in WBIS and you have this open, you can open it up, and then it'll create this report for you in this way. And here we can change whatever we want to change, and it'll just come up in the way and look exactly like it did in WBIS. Does anybody have any questions about this searching reporting feature? Oh, and then we can also do not just one criteria. This can be done with as many criteria as you want. If I wanted to say the state equals California, and then we add that, and then I wanted to say a code equals initiatives, and then financial education, or I think the one we did that has a lot of them is like equal pay or something like that. The one that has the most, we'll do that. And then it will just narrow down the search depending on all your fields. And so that's the good thing about this reporting feature. You search and you can find your criteria. And then also up here, if say you made a mistake and you don't want the state equals California, then you would do that. You can clear that part without searching all over. And then your search would be changed because you took away one of those fields. You would just need to click search again. Oh, and then this little notepad here, that means that you can also edit it. If you've made a mistake here, you could change it, and you would just click update. So does anybody have any questions on that section? Okay.
I'm not seeing the edit button. Like I'm
Um,
trying this on my end and it's not showing up when I'm doing the and state equals.
Are you using Internet Explorer?
Yeah.
We found out yesterday that it's not showing up in that browser, which is
Okay.
a note that we sent over to the developers. It does seem to perform the best in Chrome, but we're going to see if we can get that bug fixed so it does show in Internet Explorer.
Okay, thanks.
and okay, so yeah, that we just figured out. So hopefully we'll be able to get it to work in the other sites, but I'm not sure since it's a new software, it might just work the best in Chrome, but we will definitely get that information to you and then put in the handbook as well. So moving over to the events. This event feature is kind of like it was in 2.0, but we can now search for events. Like I'm going to put in dinner up at the top. And it doesn't have to be, the exact meeting. It will just search for all of the events that have the words dinner in it. And from here, you can also search filter by the name, and you can do it, and that would do it in ascending order. And then it would tell you, right now it's just telling all of these times are at 12 o'clock, probably because somebody didn't put a time in there, but it'll tell you the date that the event is for, the location, and then we can just go in here and edit really easily. And so the type of information that we are tracking right now is event title, type, the event date. We have the registration space here. And then we're also starting to track these new ones where partners, expected outcome, notes, and then like who sponsors it. And then this would give you a general, if you put in a really specific address, it would find that for you. So yesterday, I think it was Anna and Dolores kind of said that they would like to be able to make a quarterly report based on all of these fields and maybe even add in some more fields. So we may be changing, it would still have this, but we may be changing either the names of it. Like I think she said partners would more likely be collaborators and things like that. So we're going to try to make it so that you can put all your information in WBIS and then be able to make a report from here. Because if you put in information into these boxes, they are trackable. So the more information you put into here, the better, the easier it'll be for you to do that quarterly report. And also some other information that you can track using the events is the organizers and the POCs. So right now, the ones that are in here are event coordinator, speaker, and sponsor. We can add as many other roles as you want. Like I was saying before, the treasurer, the team leader, or whoever you need to track, like whoever's information you need to have for this event would be here. And then for codes to the right here, it's the same way as it would be in a contact. You can add a code on the fly. You can just add and associate any code that you want with this particular event. And that way when you search for, all events that are in initiatives for financial education, you would find now this event. And then I know another large part of that is the attendees, which is another tab to the right. Here you can add attendees. You can search for them by clicking search, and then you can kind of type in, if you just have a few, like maybe 5 that you want to just search for and go ahead and put to this event, you can do that here one by one. Or if you just clicked search, it would bring up all the contacts that are in the system, and you could go through and click on many of them at one time. So that would add those 3 contacts to this page at the same time. And then you would save it, and then you would have them here. So that might be hard if you have a ton of contacts that you need to import, but if it's just a small event, then that would work. Or if you just need to add one more because you forgot when you were importing it. Does anybody have any questions about the events? Okay, because they're kind of like contacts, but they're just a little bit different. There's a little bit more things that you could track with them. And so I know a large part of it is, maybe adding in 100 or so contacts or 100 or so event attendees. You would go to the upper right-hand corner, and there's a little icon that looks like a downward arrow. If you click on that downward arrow, it'll bring you to a page that says import, and then on the left-hand side it says import and simplified. Now, the import templates are the ones that you are familiar with if you've worked with WBIS 2.0. In WBIS 2.0, some of you commented on the length of the template. They just had too many fields. You didn't want to fill them in, and you didn't want to have to find the event ID or the contact ID. So we kept these just in case somebody liked them and didn't want anything to change. But if you go over to the left-hand side and you click on Simplified, this is going to bring up a page where we house the templates that are just kind of like just the bare minimum information that you guys need. So if we go to Import Contacts, which is it's already up there in the drop-down box, but you have a couple more. You have Import Contacts with codes, new tasks, new codes, and new code types. You could do those if you choose, but for this demonstration, I want to do Import Contacts. Then you'll go to the right, and it says Download Template. Your download would then again appear at the bottom of your screen, and you would click on that, and it's going to open a new Excel page for you. This new Excel page is going to have your email, your first name, last name, and then those are the ones that need to be entered. These are the fields that need to be entered. The good thing about this is now the region is not an ID, it's a drop-down box. So you just click whatever information you want or what region you'd need, and then you also can put in the company, the title, the address, the city, the state, and the zip code. But if you don't know that information or you don't need to have it there, I would just say a fake contact that I'm going to add in here is named Canada Dry at yahoo.com, and I'm going to say, and then it's in Boston, and that's all the information that I want or that I want to add here. So I'm going to go up to File, Save As, and then I'm going to name this something that I can remember, and that's going to go to the top of my thing. So I'm going to say Canada Dry Template. Saving that to my computer. After I go here, I'm going to choose the file. So I need to remember that name. And then look for the Canada Dry template. So it says that here, and then I'm going to upload it. And that's going to upload all the information that I put. I get an import complete notification, and if it wasn't complete or it wasn't successful, you'd get that notification as well. And then from here, we just want to double check, make sure that our contact got uploaded. So we'll go to search, and I'm going to look for my contact. And it's here. So the import feature, you'd be able to upload 100 contacts to the system. Now you're not going to check for 100 of them, but it will work if you upload it into that template feature, and then you can add in as much of that information as you want. But like we said before, a lot of it in the previous template was just not, there was just too many fields, and it was kind of overwhelming. So this just includes the essential information that you all will work with pretty much every day. Does anybody have a question about how to import?
This is Mallory again. I have a question about whether or not we can have a code column in that Excel sheet, and if we're able to code like by initiative, so when they're imported, they can have a code attached to them, or is that not possible?
So we're actually, Anna had mentioned that would be something good to have too. So we're trying to figure out a good way to do that, because she wanted to add like 3 codes and then like an event to a contact and have that put in. And so we're in the works of trying to do that. It's just a little bit difficult since it's so many different characteristics, you know.
Okay.
But if we do come up with that, I'll create a tutorial for that. So hopefully we can. Any other questions on maybe did anybody try to do that and was not able to, or did you all have any other suggestions for what should be in the template? Okay. So actually, I think that is all that we are going to go over today, because this reporting feature, like I said before, the kind of this contact and then search, that's going to be your reporting feature. So here would be this like staging reports, or we just have an example in here, contacts by code, and then we do regions, and we do here. So these are kind of like staging reports, and you can ask NDS to create any kind of reports with any kind of criteria. Maybe those quarterly reports, if you have specific fields and things that you need, these will be here. And then you can also do it. So this is just going to be contacts by code in that way. And then where it says ad hoc under reports, it will just be like a code summary or a dashboard, which is going to be a visual representation of that information. So it will be, this pie chart, and it's going to tell you the percent of the contacts that are in what of those codes. And these, again, are custom and then like on, request basis. So does anybody have a question about those? Okay, so I think that if nobody else has any questions or comments or anything like that, then we are done with our training today. If you have any questions and you'd like to stay on, or if you need me to go through something again, just let me know, and we'll be here until 3.
Thank you, Audrey.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you all for joining me today for the training. And so you all are free to go. If you have any questions, you can feel free to message me later, or like I said, you can stay on and ask.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, Audrey. This is Mallory, and I had a question regarding the quarterly report that you mentioned.
Yeah.
And being able to pull from that, and that you were talking to, I think it was Anna and Dolores about that.
Yeah.
Did either of them send you the template that we already used for the quarterly report? So you could see the fields that we're filling out?
Yes. Let me see. I think they did.
Okay, I think Anna mentioned that she was going to send it. I didn't know if you received that, Audrey, because I never received it.
Let me see. And if you just want to look at my screen real quick, I'll see if that one looks like...
I do see it.
If you see the one, or if it looks like what you were talking about.
Right. I mean, that would be huge if we were able to do that.
Yeah, I think so since we've been, tracking all that information, it would be great if we could do that. I feel like she did. I remember seeing it. This is the codes. And then template creation. Okay, I think it's this one. Where she wanted that added. Okay. So does it kind of look like this?
Yeah. Okay, can you go to the disseminations page?
Yes.
Okay. And then back to the first tab again, the CEA tab. Okay. That all looks like it should be the same. Just thinking, some of the regions work with other spreadsheets that then we copy that information into this sheet. I'm just trying to think if there were any columns that we added aside from what's here.
Yeah, and I mean, you can always send us yours as well. We're just trying to make it so, because there's a lot here that we may not be tracking in the system now. So we're trying to figure out how to either incorporate that into the system or how to maybe just like help you along with that. Because I think Dolores said like it would help a lot if we could do like the events that occur from like April to June or something like that, and like who attended those and what the codes were associated with that. So I think if we can, report on some of those features and help you with that quarterly report or something like that, then we can do that.
Okay. Let me see.
But yeah, you can definitely send us what you have, and if it looks any different,
Yeah.
we'll try to incorporate those things as well.
Well, so the one that Anna sent that you just showed me, that's one that all the different regions are using. My supervisor is also Dolores' supervisor, and she oversees 4 regions. So 4 regions are using a separate spreadsheet. That's the one that I can send you, but it's not what like we're using it in addition to what Anna has. I don't know what Anna used before this one that you have came out, because I think we got it maybe in December or something like that. And our fiscal year started October 1st. So we were using our own kind of thing, and then we just copy from this one that I can send you to that one. But there's a few different tabs for it, but basically that's all to say that this would be what I can send you now is it's not used by everyone, and it's just an example of some other fields that we have been tracking by, or a different way that some of us have been using it. But Dolores uses this one as well. And if she's talking about selecting or finding contacts for the different events by quarter, that's not something that I'm familiar with that like we've been asked. I mean, I'm sure it would be great to find, especially for future events where we want to see who's been at events in the past. I'm just not aware of us being asked to provide that for quarterly reports just yet. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So yeah, definitely send that over, and yeah. So I'm not sure because yesterday I think she said that it would be like the events, or I'm thinking of what she said that they're going to do in the future. So hopefully I didn't butcher her statement too bad, but yeah. So I'm hoping that we can definitely track some more of the items that you are talking about in the additional reports, and but since some of these are ones that may not be tracked within the system currently, I think we might be able to start like helping collect that data, maybe adding these fields to WBIS, or just a better way of collecting the data that's already in WBIS so that it can go directly into a report, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that does. That definitely does.
So we're still changing and updating, and of course, with these trainings, we're hearing a lot of little like feedback and suggestions and things like that. So I'm just going to bring all this up to the developer, and then we'll kind of see what we can do within the system.
Great. So have you been, who are your main people at the Women's Bureau that you're finding out like what we need to track from? Or who's developing it at the Women's Bureau side?
So on the Women's Bureau side, we've mainly been talking to Cheryl and Dolores and Barbara and Anna.
Okay. Not Debbie or Jill?
No, we haven't seen them at any of the meetings. So
okay.
If I can, let me ask Cheryl. So you mean Debbie and Jill?
No, I'm just wondering if they work on this at all. So I'm fairly new to the Women's Bureau, and I just know that they were involved in creating the sheet that I just sent you.
Oh, okay.
And so they were pretty involved in like seeing what kind of information to track in the past. And I wasn't sure if they were people to talk to going forward also.
There was a certain team that was assigned, Mallory, to work on the project.
Got it.
And
okay.
That she mentioned were the people that were on the team.
Got it. So if I have suggestions, should I talk about those with Grace, like my boss, and then have Grace send it to somebody in particular, or who should that be going to?
You can actually send them, if you have like feedback for the site, then you can definitely send those to Brandy or I. If you have my email, if not, I can send you, oh, you do because you just sent me that thing. But yeah, and then I speak directly to the developers and kind of see, what can be done and things like that.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be, I don't have any specific suggestions just now, but I just wanted to know like who I should be kind of filtering it through, because they might be saying the same thing, or they might have already looked at something that I might be thinking of and have decided that it's not something we want to track and all of that. So
no, yeah,
that's why it's helpful.
Any of your suggestions, even if it's something that's already been said, if more than one person's saying it, then we probably need to, think about it a little bit more. So definitely, even if you have like a bulleted list of suggestions, when you go through the site in your, in your own account and you're playing with it, if you see like a bug, or if you see something like, oh, we need to start tracking this, this field should be here, or something like that, then definitely just shoot us an email, and we'll continue working with the developers for how to make it, a little bit better.
Great. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
That was it for me. I didn't have any other questions.
Yeah, and so I'll definitely talk to Cheryl and see if Debbie or Jill have any feedback as well. But
I mean, if they already, that makes sense. Like they've decided on a team for that, so they were probably just Debbie and Jill were probably involved just in more of like a regional effort that I was familiar with right when I was coming on.
Okay.
Great. All right, then I'm gonna hop off. Okay.
Okay, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.